everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch. So a lot of the winter veg in the garden is coming to an end, so it's time for me to pull out a lot of the plants and plant all of my spring and summer seedlings. Some things have already changed, but before I kind of rejig and replant everything, I really wanted to give you all a garden tour to show you what the garden is looking like at the start of September. So I'm going to take you by row and share with you what's growing really well and what isn't doing too well in the garden today. So this is one of my happy places in the garden right now, because it is producing some absolutely gorgeous flowers, and with the flowers is such a gorgeous perfume smell. So these stock here behind me, they're really vibrant purple flowers, produce such a beautiful scent, and I've been loving just coming down here and drinking my morning coffee while I can look over the entire garden here and just be welcomed with this gorgeous smell. Alongside the stock flowers, I finally have some of my cornflowers coming through. These are just such beautiful flowers. I love seeing them from kind of when they're in the bud stage to when they bloom. They're really fun flowers, and I'm really excited to be making some flower bouquets out of these two flowers, along with some of the other ones that I've planted in the garden. Also in this bed, I have my calendula, which I have been harvesting like crazy and have trays and trays of dried flowers now that I am almost ready to turn into calendula oil for my calendula balm, which is a really nice soothing balm for dry skin and helps with a lot of skin conditions. So I'll be sharing that process, don't worry. But I also have some of my garlic, which is just about ready. I did pick a few to see what the bulbs and the cloves were looking like. They're still just a little small, so I want to wait a little bit for those before I harvest them all. Getting the morning sun this morning. But in the second bed behind me here, I have another bunch of calendula and a lot of rocket going to seed. Now I'm going to be collecting a lot of this seed, but I've also just left it here because in the mornings, just maybe kind of half an hour from now, it's about 7 o'clock, around 7:30 when the sun starts to come up, these plants just absolutely are full of pollinators. Rocket and a lot of brassicas, when they go to seed, just produce so much gorgeous smell and pollen for pollinators around. So I really love to keep these in the garden. I don't particularly like the look of the rocket flower. I mean, each to their own, but I find it a little bit funny and veiny, but I don't mind. The pollinators love it, so I love it too. I've also got 2 rows of leeks here. These are doing really well and bulking up nicely, but leeks do take quite a long time to grow, particularly here I find. But I am going to be starting to harvest these probably within the next few weeks, just to kind of keep moving and plant some new plants in. And then on either side of the leeks, I have a row of lettuce that I've sown and a row of golden beetroots as well. Because leeks don't really take up too much space in a row, I like to use the other sides of where the leeks are planted. And I really like planting lettuce and beetroots, things that grow really fast and are just really good companion plants for leeks. The row over is where I have a lot of my broccoli that we have been picking and harvesting and eating for a few weeks now, and I'm not complaining because I absolutely love fresh broccoli. I planted majority broccolini or sprouting broccoli in this row, so that means we're getting a lot of the smaller little side shoots that come off the plant rather than just the one big head. And I really prefer this because it's just 2 of us eating our dinners, and broccoli is our favourite vegetable to have on the side of a meal. So having just a little bit of sprouting broccoli and picking the edges is what we prefer here. Yes, I need to keep on top of picking those because again, they are also going to seed as well and starting to open and flower now. On either sides of the broccoli, I have some chard or silver beet. This has been such a great staple for greens over winter. It has grown so well, and I really like it because it doesn't seem to bolt like a lot of the other greens are doing right now. So we can hopefully enjoy it for a few more weeks. When the weather does start to warm up, the leaves do tend to kind of burn a little bit. So I really want to make sure we're eating the most of it while we can. And again, I have my flowers mixed in here, where I've chosen to put in some snapdragons in this bed here because they make me happy and I love snapdragons, so I wanted to include them in the veggie patch. And also nasturtiums, which I love, these kind of black velvet nasturtiums. They provide a gorgeous scent as well, and I need to make some more of my nasturtium jelly, so yeah, I should probably get onto that. Right. Shadow's come to say hello. For everyone who loves Shadow the garden cat, he's here. He's a good boy. In the next row over, we've got the king parrots coming back, getting distracted from those, and Shadow's doing zoomies around the garden. In the next row over, we have my beetroots that are still producing really well, and I have been picking these. I've done kind of 2 really large harvests of the beetroot, and these were kind of mini beetroots that I've been using for tarts and hummus and just eating fresh in salads. I am doing a beetroot video, which is why I'm saving the rest of these, because I really want to give some recipes and just talk about one of my favorite vegetables, which is beetroot. So keep an eye out for that. I will be filming that hopefully this week. Next to the beetroots, I've got some onions, which these are just taking a long time to grow. I'm not too sure if I am going to grow onions again. I don't know, we'll see. I'm yet to taste what homegrown onions taste like. So we'll see how they taste and then I'll make up my mind, but they just take so long to grow. So yeah, these are kind of a smaller white kind of crisp variety. So we'll see, but I'm still giving them a go. Then I have just some more like snapdragon, silver beet, and tatsoi as well, that is going to seed, and I'm going to replace those with some capsicums that I've already planted one down there, and I've got another one to plant today as well. Another root crop that has been doing fantastic is my carrots. These are almost done, sadly, but I do have another patch that I've planted and are growing nicely as well. So I have been picking some of these and enjoying these pretty much just fresh. I just like fresh carrots from the garden. I think I want to grab all of the nutrients that I can from this area. And then we've had some of our larger broccoli here as well. I think this variety was Sisio broccoli and another sprouting broccoli as well. And then I did have a massive patch of lettuce and greens down the very end, but I have since taken that out and replaced it with some cosmos and some lobelia. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's kind of a ground cover with some gorgeous blue and white flowers. So I am trying to incorporate quite a lot of flowers into the garden, and the cosmos there are dwarf varieties, so hopefully won't get out of control as well. The out of control area is down there. So speaking of one of the out of control areas, my potatoes back here are doing so amazing. I had a little bit of a peek the other day, just really couldn't help myself, and had a little dig and saw some nice little potatoes growing in here. So we've got the Dutch creams and the Otway reds, and also the beautiful sounds of a bin truck going by. Fantastic. All right, might wait for you a little bit. Thank you, sir. So these are a 110 to 130 day variety, and I think they've been in the ground now for maybe about 95 days. So I am going to give them just a few more weeks to really bulk up. The potatoes that I had a little peek at were just a little bit too small, so I want to wait and see if they can get any bigger. I did plant the Otway reds a few weeks after the Dutch creams, so I'll be harvesting the Dutch creams soon and then the Otway reds after. Within kind of this vicinity, I also have some carrots growing, rocket going to seed, but that's okay. I'm going to be planting more of that, and it just grows so fast. And also some onions. And then you would have seen in another video, I started planting out my little flower patch here down at the bottom of the garden, in which I have pretty much jam-packed so many different seedlings in here now, and have plans for more. So we'll see what this looks like when it grows a little bit. But I have everything in here from zinnias. I planted a row of sunflowers at the back, everlasting daisies, some borage, more of some lobelia, this plant here. Also got some beautiful violas, which are one of Scott's favorites, so I had to put them in their little garden here. and some tricolour salvias. And I've tried to mix it up with the different kind of colours and textures in this patch. I also have some broccoli here, which isn't yet done, but it's almost finished. So I'm going to be replacing that with some more kind of cottagey style flowers, or maybe even a Cape gooseberry. I'm not sure yet. So I've tried to make it all really different and versatile with lots of different colours when they all flower. So hopefully the pollinators are going to love this little patch here. So that is this little garden done. I'm going to head over to our other garden patch and share with you what's going on over there, and also just give you a bit of an update on all of the seedlings as well. All right, so I'm standing at the top of the garden and I'll give you a little bit of an overview of what is growing in here and just do a few little overlays because it'll be just a lot easier for you to see. So in the garden here, I actually have a few fails, which every gardener has failures, and I think failure is such an important part of gardening, and also learning how to fail and how to process that failure. This has been just a really tricky area to grow over winter because it just doesn't get a lot of sun and it has kind of cool, damp conditions. And when the temperature kind of fluctuates, and a few days we had some warmer temperature, then cooler temperature, the plants in this area aren't as kind of robust and able to deal with that change as much as the plants in the other garden, which I showed you, which just have an overall better airflow and better circulation through that area. So that has meant that some of the plants here, including just some of the flowers that I've tried to grow, and mainly my snow peas, have been seriously suffering from powdery mildew. And hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow, if I get time, I really need to remove those snow peas because they're just too far gone. When you do have powdery mildew or any kind of fungal mildew disease on your plants, the fruit that it bears can start to taste a little different, and it's also really not good to ingest if you are allergic to powdery mildew, which you might not already know until you eat it. So to be safe, I am removing those, taking them out of the garden and saying goodbye. I also have had a little bit of problems with aphids in this garden. So I'm heading out to go buy some neem oil when I can, and going to be spraying some of my plants. But my favorite basil is it's got some impressive aphids on it. The ants have been farming the aphids on this poor little plant, and yeah, I just can't really see it coming back. But aphids will affect a lot of the plants in the garden, including a lot of the plants and flowers around that plant. So that's why I've been a little hesitant to remove it, because right now all of the aphids are going onto that plant rather than a lot of the other ones. But yeah, I really need to get rid of it. So I should have been on top of it a lot more, but they can just kind of spring up really quickly, and yeah, you really need to be on top of it as soon as you start to either see ants crawling around and being funny around plants and crawling up them. That's usually a sign that you've got aphids, or if you start to see those little dots all over the plants as well. Yeah, I feel for you. But it's not all bad in this garden. We have had a little bit of broccoli coming out of here, and some gorgeous flowers as well from the straw flower, and so many pigeon pea pods and flowers. The pollinators have been loving the pigeon peas, and I'm really hoping that I can save hopefully a few hundred seeds, because I just really love using pigeon pea as a green manure plant. This area is starting to get a little bit more sun now, so I'm ready to be planting some of my chilies and capsicums in here. The ones in here right now just aren't really doing well, so I'm going to be starting from scratch with those. So I have a lot of those seedlings ready. My bush beans that I planted in another video doing quite well, so I'm hoping that they continue to do that and start producing some bush beans. And I also harvested my garlic from this bed, but I'm going to leave that for another video because I have kind of a garden with me filmed where I harvest a lot of the garlic and just do a lot of other different jobs around the garden, including just show you how I transplant seedlings. And at the very bottom of this garden, I have a trellis ready for some cucumbers to grow up. They haven't been germinating too well in the ground. I think it just gets too cold here overnight. We're still getting way below 10 degrees, not ideal for cucumbers. And also just a bunch more leeks as well, and some random tomatoes, and quite a lot of calendula that I had left over from my other patch that I've just planted throughout the garden for the pollinators to enjoy. And the last stop of this garden tour is just a quick overview on how all of my seedlings are doing. The tomatoes are going brilliant, and I really need to transplant the majority of those. I have already started with the gross lease, or gross lease, however you say it, and I've already planted some of those in the ground as well. I transplanted my rosella seedlings because they desperately needed bigger pots, and my pigeon peas are all growing really nicely. And I decided to sow some more borage because I got a lot of positive feedback from a few of you about your love for borage. So I planted some more, and I'm going to plant it around the garden. But other than that, a lot of the flowers that I had are already planted out and growing in the ground. So I'm trying to just keep on top of all of the seedlings and making sure that when they are ready, as soon as they are ready, they end up going in the ground. So I really hope you enjoyed that garden tour of seeing what my garden is looking like at the start of September. It's a really fun time of the year to transition from some of the cooler weather to the warmer weather with a lot of different plants that we can be planting right now. So I'm going to go inside and start my day, but thank you for joining me on this tour. And if you've made it this far, I would love it if you would like this video and please subscribe for lots more garden content. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next video, happy gardening everyone. Bye.